Hello and welcome to You Sew You. My name's Zoe and this is my channel all about the crafty bits and pieces I get up to. I knit, I sew, I spin on a drop spindle, I dabble in weaving from time to time and anything else that takes my crafty fancy. But today we're talking about the things I've been working on in March. So grab a brew, put your feet up and let's get started. Welcome back to any returning viewers, and to any new viewers a very warm welcome to you. Long-time viewers will recognise that I am in a different space now. We've finally managed to get around to sorting out the spare room into a craft room. So I mean there's no spare bed in here, but I do have all my bits and pieces easily accessible, or at least they will be when I finish organising them. Most of them are in here now, so that's good. I've got my sewing machine set up on a table, which you are actually sitting on my sewing table at the moment. So yeah, this will be where I'll be filming most of the time moving forward, so that's exciting. But before we carry on, let's get going with what I am wearing. I've got two me-made items on today. The first one is the Knitting Expat Hug, whichever way around it's named, that I've knitted a while ago and you will have seen many times. I believe it's a Jameson yarn. I've done mine in chunky, but this particular pattern you can do in many different weights of yarns and gauge. There's a table that you pick and it gives you your yardage and what have you. It's a fun knit, it's a fairly quick knit, really kind of simple structure to the garment. It's a rectangle that you sew together to make the sleeves and then do the ribbing, and yeah, it's easy to fling on over the top of anything, so it does get a lot of wear. The other item that I'm wearing is this t-shirt. This is a t-shirt with an elbow length sleeve, which I did as a Minerva makeup project, so the fabric is from Minerva, and the pattern is a new look pattern, the number of which has leapt out of my head at the moment, so if I remember I'll put it on screen. But otherwise, feel free to go through my Minerva project and it will be on there in the not too distant past. So I made this one towards the end of last year. So, end of last year, beginning of this year, that kind of time. So December, January-ish. So let's move on to what I've been working on. There has been a little bit of a dent in what I've been working on this month because of sorting this room out. We've repainted it, so we had to empty the whole room out. We've repainted it, we've shampooed the carpet, and then I've started organising stuff. There's still a little bit of organisation still to do. There's still a couple of things in another room that will need to be moved into here at some point. Not quite sure where I'm going to put them. There's not much point in asking for a room tour of this craft room because essentially you can see about 60% of it at the moment. It's not a big room, so the door is just past my fingers, well the wall with the door in is just past my fingers there. You can see the edge of the door probably creeping into shot behind me, and this door behind me is the built-in wardrobe that came in the wall that's in the room that's right in the corner, so it's not a wide room. It's one of those little box rooms that you'd put your kid in if you had one. So yes, it's not a big space, so a tour would be a little pointless, quite frankly. It wouldn't take long. So that's the craft room, but as I say, it has dented my productivity a little bit. The other thing that has meant that I haven't got the progress done on one of my projects that I would have liked to have, so I'll show you that in my works in progress section, is because Sock Madness has started, and my word, it's a quick one this year. So I've got some socks to show you for Sock Madness, which are my only finished objects this month, so let's get those out first and foremost. All of my Sock Madness yarn this week that I'm showing you this week is West Yorkshire Spinners in their signature 4-ply, and it's all solid colours. So first up we have the qualifier sock for Sock Madness this year. So this is Engel Cristal. So we've got these meandering cables going across the two colour striped sock. I haven't tried them on yet. I'm not entirely convinced I'm going to quite manage to get them on because these cables have obviously made them quite tight, and the stitch counter is not quite what I would normally do for socks for my feet, but they are knitted to the right length, so if I can get them over my heels they'll be fine. But yeah, next step with these is to try them on. They are very, very pretty, and if it wasn't for Sock Madness, I would have been able to increase the stitch count to get them to fit my foot. But because Sock Madness is Sock Madness and you have to knit things to pattern as quickly as you can to qualify for the next round, I haven't done that for these. But it is a nice pattern. I will quite possibly knit it again and just add a couple of extra stitches in at the sides between, like beyond the edge of the cabling to make them fit my feet. But yeah, so they're knitted top down. Quite enjoyed those. And if they fit, they'll get a lot of wear. If they don't fit, they'll go to somebody else and I'll just knit myself a bigger pair. So that's those ones. And then we have the round 1 socks as well, which were also super, super quick. You have 2 weeks for the early rounds as like the qualifying period, but round 1 was finished in a week and a half. So it is quite speedy this year. But these are the Ipoema? I'm not sure how to say it. I'm not even entirely sure which language it comes from, so I mean that would help if I knew which language it was. But these are very pretty socks with lots of twisted stitches. So we've got twisted knits in the ribbing that goes all the way down to the toe from the cuff. There are some beads in this section here. I think they're just about showing up on camera. But I matched them quite closely to the yarn because I didn't want them sort of in your face, as it were. So yeah, they are kind of hiding a little bit. And this leaf pattern that is showing up here, the designer said she's taken from a Japanese stitch directory. So yes, they're again very, very pretty. Again, I'm not sure if they're going to fit, but we'll try them. There's a better chance with these going around my legs, to be fair, because of the ribbing. Again, haven't tried them on yet. That's the next step. So those are my finished objects for this month. So yeah, Sock Madness takes over my life pretty much all the way through till about June. I won't be still competitive by that point. But when you don't get through for your team, it's a knockout competition. When you don't get through in the team that you put on to begin with, you can still keep knitting as a cheerleader. You still get the patterns. So I will aim to keep knitting on once I'm knocked out of my team. But yeah, that's my finished objects. So let's have a look at works in progress. And I've got 2 to show you. Like I say, sorting this room out, it took up a lot of my time. So let's go with the socks first. This is the round 2 socks for Sock Madness, and there are 3 balls of yarn on each sock for these. Normally I knit my socks 2 at a time where I can. When I'm using multiple colours, I'll sometimes knit concurrently, or if I know that the beginning of the round is going to move around a few times throughout the sock. These socks, the beginning of round changes a couple of times, and it's knitting with 3 colours. So I've got my legs, one leg completely done, ready to transition into the heel for these, and this one I've just got the last few rounds to do before the heel transition. The colours I've picked, I'm actually using the leftovers from the first 2 socks I showed you, so from the qualifier and the round 1, and actually the plaid patterning is showing up a lot better on the camera than it does when I look at it, which is interesting with these colours. But these are pocket plaid socks. Yes, I said pocket. These are socks with pockets. Oh yes, socks with pockets. So there's a bit of double knitting that goes on the leg, so you get this functional pocket with the contrast colours striping behind. So that's a bit of fun. I'm not sure I'll ever use a pocket on my socks, but they've got pockets. So yeah, pocket plaid socks. As I say, the plaid patterning is actually coming up quite well on the camera. It may well be just because of weather on the needles that I'm not quite seeing the plaid. You look quite closely at things when you're knitting, but yeah, from the distance it's showing up, so that's good. So that is the socks I'm working on at the moment, and I'm hoping to have them finished tomorrow. I should be able to get the heel in 1, if not both of them tonight, and then just have the feet to do tomorrow, so that would be good. The vaguely complicated bit of the pockets is done. Actually, it's just double knitting, so it's a little bit like doing ladderback jacquard. It's just that after every stitch you're switching the front yarn between the 2 rather than periodically like you would for ladderback jacquard. So yeah, I've only got one more work in progress to show you, and it is one you've seen before, and it is one I was hoping to have had finished by now, but I'm not quite there because of madness and craft room. But I'm nearly there, which is good. So my Terra Nova sweater, here it is. I've already done all of the colour work, and as you can see I have a lace panel on the side here. Oh, that's better. Let's try and keep it in shot. Yeah, so there's my lace panel down the side there. I need to do the lace panel for the other side. I've already steeked that open. Oh, look at those floats. Yay! Isn't that pretty? Yeah, so I've already steeked it open. I just need to pick up at the gusset and work the lace panel down the side and then block the whole thing before I then connect the side lace panels to the front and back of the sweater, which I must say I am really pleased with how the colours are turning out. So yeah, so once the side panels are attached with a modified 3 needle bind off, it's then just a question of steeking the cuffs and doing all the ribbing, and then it'll be done. So if it's not done by the end of April, something's gone desperately wrong, because there's not that much to do. It really isn't. But yeah, so that's nearly done. So that's my works in progress, pair of socks and a sweater. I do still have lots of other works in progress that are ongoing. I just haven't touched them this month. So I've not touched my crochet squares for my blanket, I've not touched my cross stitches, I've not touched my sweater design. So yeah, there's all sorts of things that I'm on the go with. But I'm going to get these finished first and then go back to some of those. So yeah, we'll be revisiting some new works in progress next month. There will most likely be more socks. That sweater should be finished. We'll have a look at what else I picked up to try and get finished out of the things that I've already got on the go. I'm trying not to start too many things whilst I'm waiting for the works in progress to be finished. I want to actually start clearing some of those out. It's a good job I'm getting towards the end, because I can see my light is going a little bit weird because there's a really dark cloud just looming on the horizon. It has been snowing on and off all day. Snowing and sleet and hail and all sorts. I woke up this morning and there was not a chunky blanket of snow, but a blanket of snow across everything. I mean, that's now melted. But the weather does still keep trying to top it up. So yeah, so just as well that I've not got much more to tell you. Okay, so plans for moving forwards. I mean, now that I'm in my little craft room and I've got my sewing table set up, I can catch up on my sewing projects through April. So I'm hoping over the next week or so to get that done. I'm actually off work now, well, off my office work where I'm employed for a couple of weeks because it's Easter, well, the Easter holidays where I am. So working for an education company, we break for the holidays. So I should catch up on my sewing during that time, and I want to get that blue dress cross stitch finished so that I can find somewhere to put it in here. But otherwise, that's pretty much my plans. Whips, get those finished, and yeah, catch up on my sewing projects. So that's all I have for you today. I aim to put up a video every weekend. It's usually on a Saturday. Once a month, it's a random video like this where I go through what I've been working on the previous month, and in between times it's a bit more project-based, techniques-based, project from beginning to end, that kind of thing. I'm working on a Weave With Me series of videos at the moment as well, so look out for those. So if you've enjoyed my company, obviously like and subscribe and do the stuff down below that everybody tells you to do. And I look forward to seeing you next week. But in the meantime, happy crafting and bye-bye for now.